Hello and welcome to Seven Rivers Talk. I'm Bob Burrell, and I'm very happy to be with all of you again. And my special guest today is Dave Ross, who is mayor of Superior. That's the city of Superior, and we're very thankful and very blessed, I think, to have you on board, David.
It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As you know, Seven Rivers Talk is one of a series of every evening, 5:30, Monday through Friday. Actually, I'm only on Monday night at 5:30, and then at 6:30 again on Tuesday morning. And that's on the Charter Network and on Off the Air 23, KQED-G that is, and also in Sparta and in the Central Telephone area. And Dave, the households passed by this network is about 75,000.
Well, it's great to be in the La Crosse area.
You bet it is. It is for all of us here too. Yeah. So thank you for being with us. And we're now going to start talking with Dave Ross about his job as mayor of Superior, but as importantly, his run for lieutenant governor in the upcoming election. Dave, first of all, what is your background a little bit that makes you think you're prepared for this run?
Well, first of all, I was a self-employed upholsterer for over 20 years. And before that, I worked in my father's furniture business. And so I had a strong small business background. And not only that, I was 50 years old before I ever thought about getting in government. So my experience as being self-employed for over 20 years, my experience of growing up in a business home, and the privilege of being able to grow up in a beautiful community like Superior, I believe really rounds out my first run for political office.
Actually, in your background, you've kind of honed and enjoyed the experience of being an independent entrepreneur, so to speak, which gives you freedom to work outside the box whenever you wish, in a legal way, of course.
Well, you know, you have to work outside the box. The only way that you can survive in small business today is you gotta constantly be sharpening the pencil, making sure the product you're selling is at the right market price. You need to know how to sign both sides of the check, pay your suppliers, and then raise a family and bring enough money home to pay the mortgage and raise 4 beautiful daughters, as I've had the privilege to do.
Yeah, and you and Dave and his wife really do have a beautiful family, and we'll show them to you here in a little while. But you know, what you describe as a background of work and a vocation, I think it's the kind of experience that should be required of all people who want to be in the legislature or want to be in governor's positions, Congress, or what have you. Do you agree with me on that?
Well, you know, when I was about 9, 10 years old, I would go down to my father's business, and I had to sweep out on Saturdays the store and clean up the work from, we used to do a small manufacturing, furniture manufacturing, as well as upholstery work. And that experience of getting up in the morning on a Saturday morning, being given a job and performing that job, and by the way, being paid for that. My father always paid me. And at the time, it was about 25 cents an hour. And getting paid and knowing how to manage those few dimes that I would get at the end of the week really put a work ethic in me a long time ago, that I needed to work hard and I needed to achieve, and that's what America's all about.
So here you are at mid-age, early mid-age.
58.
58 years
Yes.
old. Oh, you're prime time, man.
Perfect.
You, about 5 years ago, you had never, ever, I don't think, been in public office, had you?
Not at all. In fact, I was an innocent bystander.
Yeah, and what happened is that you were home one night and you opened up your mail, and here's a tax bill, right?
Well, I first of all, I opened up the newspaper and I realized that my city council was going to raise my taxes by nearly 13%. And boy, that aggravated me. You know the Tea Party movement?
Surely.
Well, I was a mini one-person Tea Party movement when I opened up my newspaper. And I called the finance director and I said, are you really going to raise my taxes by nearly 13%? And you know how they do it. You know, it isn't just, they don't call fees taxes, but they really are. They come out of your back pocket. It was fees plus a small increase in the levy. And the finance director looked.
This was kind of like waving a red flag in front of a bull.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, after I explained this whole thing to the finance director of the city, who I didn't know, she said, you're the first one to call. You're the first one to figure it out, and why don't you run for mayor?
Ha! There you are. An invite from a constituent.
Right.
And you took it up.
Oh, I absolutely did. In fact, we put together about 80 volunteers, and we raised a good deal of money. We challenged an incumbent who said government was as small as it was ever going to get. Now, you know how small it had gotten? 1/2 of one position in that person's first term. So, and then pronounced we were down to bare bones government. Well, I didn't believe it. And I promised my community that if you elect me as the next mayor of the city of Superior, I'll shrink government, we'll privatize services, we'll reduce our debt, and we'll get this economy in Superior going again.
And 5 years later, can you look your constituent in the eye and say, I did it?
Well, you know, a lot of politicians, Dan Kapanke, who was on a few weeks ago on your program, he said something interesting. You know, he said, we need to fire those politicians that didn't keep their promise. Can you imagine? It's like bait and switch, you know, in the sales business. You show them one thing and then you give them something else. When you promise to run for office and you make specific promises, you better deliver, and we did. The city of Superior shrunk its size of government by over 10%. We reduced our debt by over 10%. And in fact, a plan to eliminate all $28 million in general obligation debt. And on top of that, we privatized services.
And so that means today that your city is, what, ranked 4th or 5th?
You know what's interesting? Second in equalized growth.
Yeah, wow.
Equalized value last year in 2009.
That's just incredible.
And that's because we opened the door wide open and we said to the business community, come and invest in Superior. We'll help you out. We understand what drives you to put your dollars in your community, which those dollars create jobs. And if we don't connect investment and jobs together as something that happens together, we'll never get it as politicians.
I'm talking to Dave Ross, who is currently mayor of the city of Superior, which has done very well under his stewardship, and who is going to be running. He is running. In fact, he's running very fast, along with his wonderful wife, who is with him on the road. And we'll come back with Dave Ross in a moment and talk about Lieutenant Governor, which is what he's running for in concert, or I should say in companionship with 7 other Lieutenant Governor candidates, right?
There's 7 or 8 in this race.
That's incredible. And we're going to come back and talk to Dave Ross about Lieutenant Governor, what it is, what his function is, what his role is, and how he would help to, or think he can help in terms of helping the state of Wisconsin in that role. I'm Bob Burrell. We'll be back shortly.